What's up everyone, my name is Jack, and if you're new to my channel, I'm a former Bain consultant with 5 years of consulting experience. And in today's video, I'm ranking the highest paying finance careers in 2026 from D tier all the way up to S tier based on how much salary does a graduate get. A little spoiler alert before we start is that a difference between a bottom tier and a top tier job can be above £200,000 as an analyst. And by the end of this video, you'll not only know which finance careers pay the most amount of money, but also which ones actually suit you the best based on what you'll be doing on a day-to-day basis. Because there's no point chasing a 200k role if you're gonna be hating your life doing 100-hour weeks, right? Or I guess if you're making 200k, maybe you won't hate your life. But let's get straight into it.
So first we have the D tier, which is the very well respected but not too rich careers. In the D tier, we have audit and tax graduate roles that will make around £30,000 starting salary. Audit is where most accounting grads start, right? I mean, you'll be checking financial statement, testing controls, making sure big companies like Shell, Unilever, etc., they're not cooking the books. You work long hours during audit season, but think of this as a training ground for future CFOs, because once you get your qualification, your pay can jump to 50,000 plus in 2 to 3 years. Next in the D tier, we have management consulting, paying around 35 to 40,000 pounds. Management consultants basically help clients solve business problems that they're facing with their current operations, such as streamlining production lines, cutting costs, or transforming departments. As a graduate analyst, you'll often be working with senior stakeholders, such as department heads and division leads, building PowerPoints, or let's say moving boxes like I'm doing for client workshops. Pay starts around 35,000 to 40,000 pounds in the UK, sometimes higher, but you will gain transferable skills, which makes this a great launchpad for other high-paying industries later on. And then we have the transaction advisory, 40,000 to 45,000 pounds. They basically sit at the intersection of accounting and finance, where you'll be advising on M&A deals, valuations, performing financial due diligence, for instance. And this, guys, is where a lot of Excel skills will be required, as analysts will crunch numbers to help companies decide whether to buy or sell assets. Pay is slightly better than audit or consulting, but still not in the big leagues quite yet. Right, let's move on to the C tier, which is a very good pay for a graduate level and quite competitive to get in. First, we have asset management, paying around 55,000 to 65,000 pounds as a first year analyst. In asset management, you're essentially helping clients like pension funds or wealthy investors grow their money by investing in stocks and bonds. Analysts will be a part of a team under a PM to research markets and monitor portfolios that ultimately support the PM's investment decisions. The pay is solid. The hours are pretty decent, I would say, and the lifestyle balance is one of the best in finance. Next up, we have strategy consulting, where basically I was in, and that is also a C tier in terms of compensation, paying around 60,000 to 70,000 pounds in your first year. Unlike management consulting, strategy consultants focus on the higher level questions that C-level executives are thinking of, such as market entry and growth strategy projects, for instance. As an analyst at a strategy consulting firm, you will be doing similar things to a management consultant, such as building market models, doing competitor analysis, and preparing client decks, but your hours will be much longer as you are working on higher profile projects with a tighter deadline. Pay is much better than management consulting, however, around 60,000 to 70,000 pounds as you can see, and it scales very quickly to 130,000 pounds in 2 to 3 years, with strong exit opportunities into PE or corporate strategy. Lastly, in C tier, we have equity research. 65,000 to 75,000 pounds. Equity research analyze listed companies and write reports to help investors decide whether to buy, hold, or sell stocks. You'll spend your day modeling financials, recording earnings calls, and staying on top of market trends. You often have to wake up super early, like 6, 7 a.m., but you'll still have good hours and have an intellectually stimulating job. But you might be pigeonholed to a certain sector, and your pay can be capped unless you become a top-rated analyst. Now, onto the B tier, which is the elite but selective careers in finance. First, in B tier, we have venture capital, 70,000 to 80,000 pounds. VC analysts, they basically scout startups, analyze pitch decks, and support investment decisions that your partners might make. The day-to-day job is about spotting early-stage companies with a high potential, and especially in London, you'll be attending a lot of seminars, doing coffee chats with founders, and building the hypothesis on good companies from early on. Pay is, as you see, 70,000 to 80,000 base, but the real value is the network and access to founders. It's very hard to break in, guys, but a very rewarding career, especially as the pay scales. And then we have the holy private equity, paying 80,000 to 100,000 pounds. Private equity firms buy entire companies, they improve their financial or operational performance, and sell them later on for profit. As an analyst, you'll mainly be doing a lot of financial modeling such as LBOs, conducting due diligences, liaising with consultants and lawyers, and also helping manage portfolio companies too. It is one of the toughest jobs to get, given that most PE funds in London don't hire that many analysts, but it's also one of the fastest tracks to a huge upscale once you start getting carry after you hit associate or VP level. Okay, so let's move on to the A tier roles, which is the Wall Street core, or shall I say the Canary Wharf Demons in the London case. First in A tier, we have sales and trading, making 90 to 120k. Traders and salespeople operate on financial markets, buying and selling securities for clients or their firms. You need fast decision making, quantitative skill sets, and composure under pressure. I mean, think of the Wolf of Wall Street trading floor, right? Whilst the times have changed and traders get a lot of support from tools and external vendors now, it is still a very intense and high time pressure job. The pay itself will vary hugely depending on desk performance, but bonuses can be massive even at the analyst level. And then we have the investment banking, 100 to 140k. Now, this is obviously the most famous finance job out there, right? This is the typical finance bro, finance girly, where you're advising on IPOs, mergers, and capital raising. Analysts will do financial modeling, build pitch books, and support live deals, often working brutal hours, sometimes 90 and I think 100 plus hours in some cases, although that's very unrealistic and unsustainable if you are potentially at Goldman Stanley TMT team, for instance. But the pay reflects that, as total comp can be close to £140,000 if you're a top-rated analyst with the max bonus at a bulge bracket or a top elite boutique firm. Investment banking is not for the faint-hearted, but it is the fastest wealth-building route in your 20s. Last but not least, we have the apex predators of finance, the S tier. Can anyone guess what that might be? Well, in S tier, we have the hedge funds, obviously. This is where the top 0.01% of grads might end up. And in fact, most undergrads probably won't make it into the quant role. It's usually those with master's or PhD degree in math that does. Hedge fund analysts manage huge portfolios and make bets on markets, stocks, and macro trends. And you spend your days analyzing data, testing hypotheses, and pitching trades directly to portfolio managers. Your comp definitely varies a lot based on whether you're in a single manager versus a multi-manager, and your team's overall performance as well. But compensation can exceed £250,000 as an analyst, and the learning curve and performance pressure will be intense. You're literally paid to be right when everyone else is wrong, and if you don't perform well, you're out the door. So to recap, your tier list for 2026 finance careers looks like this. In D tier, you have audit, management consulting, and transaction advisory. C tier, you have asset management, strategy consulting, and equity research. B tier, you have VC and private equity. A tier is sales and trading and investment banking, and S tier is hedge funds. Now, obviously these are only based on compensation, and there are lots of other things to take into account. The key takeaway basically is that the higher pay usually means higher pressure and a lower work-life balance. And also, as I said, money and compensation is not everything when it comes to choosing a career, so choose a path that aligns with your values and your lifestyle, as well as your risk appetite. If you found this video useful, please hit the like and subscribe button and comment below which finance career you're targeting. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.